Thank you for your company. Now, in our first story, former President John Dramani Mahama has assured Ghanaians that if voted into power in 2025, a new NDC government would repeal the E-levy Act. According to him, the E-levy is only a distortionary and burdensome tax that only forces Ghanaians to pay more while suffering. Addressing the nation on the theme Ghana at a crossroads on Monday, Mr. Mahama said, unfortunately, in the face of this self-inflicted economic catastrophe, the MPP government has gone against all sound advice and introduced the E-levy that heaps even more suffering on Ghanaians.
The collection of the E-levy began yesterday. And like a slap in the face, it began on May Day. When we are supposed to be celebrating workers, we are celebrating a new tax imposed on them. And already there's a litany of complaints about the implementation. I've heard complaints of transfers of under 100 cedis being subject to tax contrary to the law. And I've heard others say that they sent 1,000 cedis and paid no additional tax. Clearly, the Ghana Revenue Authority and those responsible for this tax were not ready for its implementation. Government's desperation to tax Ghanaians to get this nation out of the hellhole it has dumped us will not succeed because government's own budget proposals show that the E-levy will not make any significant contribution in resolving our problems, but will exert an adverse toll on the people of Ghana. We in the NDC do not oppose taxation as a principle. We will not be pretentious and couch fanciful slogans to condemn the principle of taxation like the MPP did in the past. We are, however, implacably opposed to distortionary and burdensome taxes like the E-levy that only force Ghanaians to endure more suffering. A new National Democratic Congress government, God willing, and with the votes of the sovereign people of Ghana in 2025, will repeal the E-levy Act. Even as this government remains fixated with taxing their way out of economic mismanagement, the Akufo-Addo government has been wasteful. They failed to demonstrate prudence in public financial management. The people of Ghana cannot be called upon to pay more taxes only for the accruing money belonging to the people to be dubiously and wastefully shared amongst family and friends through various fraudulent procurement practices. The creature comforts of the president and his officials cannot be more paramount than the need to protect the public purse and make savings that can be invested in more useful ventures such as education, health, and social housing for Ghanaians.
Well, the former president also took a swipe at the finance minister, calling on the president to sack him. He expressed his concern about the fact that the finance minister, who had spearheaded the mismanagement we are seeing, was still at post.
Ghana's best days are still ahead. And some of the alternatives we propose are as follows. Those directly responsible for the economic crisis must bear responsibility, and it is inconceivable that the Minister of Finance remains at post. Having presided over the worst economic meltdown in Ghana's recent history, the President must, as a matter of urgency and without further delay, relieve the Minister of Finance of his position. And appoint someone who is focused on national rather than self-interest and who has the requisite skill, experience, and knowledge of public financial management in his stead. The personal benefit that the current minister and his cronies derive from borrowing on our behalf through the commissions they take by their companies who serve as transaction advisors raises an unacceptable conflict of interest situation which must end immediately. It goes without saying that the economic management team, that solid team, has failed. and must be reconstituted immediately with fresh and perspectives. Having supervised the worst public debt buildup, the worst budget deficit, the worst debt to GDP ratio, the worst credit rating downgrades, and the worst performing currency in the world, the worst crisis of confidence in our economy, the highest fuel prices ever rising inflation, unprecedented hardships, etc., the current head of the economic management team has clearly fallen from his ivory tower as a self-styled economic messiah to a poster boy for economic mismanagement. And his leadership of the economic management team is no longer tenable. He has lost sight of cause and effect relationship in the economic value chain and complains that our dire economic state is due to bad ratings from international agencies. He rather blames the agencies for our economic situation, rather than the fact that our dissipating economy resulted in those bad ratings. How does that assure Ghanaians his focus on the critical things that need to be addressed? The EMT has been bedeviled by their own ineptness, over-exuberance, and excessive focus on linear thinking of a theoretical cause and effect relationship, devoid of the practical influences of complex real-life nuances. In short, the economic management team has used a laboratory experimental approach typically found in textbooks to run the extremely complex Ghanaian economy and analyze the impact of one variable at a time. Alternatively, the president may want to consider appointing one of the mainly highly qualified Ghanaian public finance management experts to lead the economic management team.
Well, he did have more to say. Former President Mahama also criticized the MPP government for failing to provide textbooks 3 years after the introduction of the new curriculum at the basic school level.
The minimum expectation was that the MPP government will build on the strong foundation that had been bequeathed them and achieve incremental progress over what they met. They have instead carried out a demolition exercise of that foundation and left our economy in quicksand, sinking at an alarming rate. However, now we know that responsibility and prudence are not concepts that appear to be appreciated by this government. As we speak, the cash crunch arising out of the rigidities in the economy is having a devastating toll on almost all sectors of our national life. Let's take the education sector, for instance. At the basic level, capitation grants have been in arrears for nearly a year. Textbooks have not been supplied to basic school pupils for 3 straight years. At the SHS level, lengthy delays in the release of funds have crippled the free SHS program, compelling key stakeholders like CHAPS and NAT to issue ultimatums to government. There have been widespread reports of food shortages and nutrition deficient poor quality food in schools across the country. And the academic calendar has become erratic due to non-availability of funds to run the schools. At the tertiary level, UTAG recently just ended a protracted strike action to call on government to honor its commitments on salary rationalization and better conditions of service. The UTAG strike severely undermined teaching and learning on our various campuses. College of Education students have spent more time at home than in school because of the lack of funds, and trainee allowances have been in arrears for several months amidst threats by school authorities to shift the cost of feeding onto students in the absence of timely release of funds by government.
Well, on the back of those thoughts by the former president, we're now joined by a research fellow from the Africa Education Watch, Divine, who joins us via Zoom. Divine, happy Eid al-Fitr to you. Hope you're enjoying the holiday.
Yeah. I've gotten some salad meal invite from San Francisco right after here. I'm going to enjoy myself. And happy Eid to
Ayo,
all Muslim brothers.
Al-Hajj divine fare. Anyway, so these are the comments of former President Mahama in terms of the lack of access to textbooks 3 years after the new curriculum. But Africa Education Watch has conducted a lot of research into this. Do you agree fundamentally with what the president is saying in terms of the impact of a lack of textbooks?
Yeah, that's correct. We are all aware of the very fact that 3 years on, after the introduction of the new curriculum, we do not have textbooks to ensure effective teaching and learning in our schools. Several deadlines were given, and the recent one given by the PRO of the Education Ministry was March 2022. So when school resumed in January, 31st of January, on your show, or JoyNews, he gave March 2022 as the deadline for distribution of textbooks to schools. But as at now, schools have still not received them. We know that it's basically about procurement and financial handicaps as far as government is concerned. That has occasioned a delay in the procurement and distribution of textbooks to school. And we can't discount the effect of lack of textbooks in our school, more especially for the fact that we are even introducing a new curriculum, or we have to introduce a new curriculum. And some of the concepts and how to approach them, especially if you look at the aspect of creative arts, some of the concepts are new to teach some of the teachers, and they would have needed some guideline, not only the textbook only, but also teachers' guideline, but we do not have that. And our studies have also indicated that teachers have to resort to the internet to look for materials themselves. And if we are talking about standard-based curriculum and teachers are getting material from different angles to teach their students, then it tells you that that's going to defeat the purpose of a standard-based curriculum system, because teachers are teaching across the length and breadth of the country may not be of standard, given the fact that they are all getting their material source from different areas. So that is a challenge over there. And then also some of them where PTAs are effective or SMC are effective, they are supplying them with textbooks. And not only about the teachers, but students as well. You know, the student need a textbook for them also to maybe send home to read, especially for the aspect of English. A teacher can give them a passage to go and read at home. But what teachers are doing is to be writing some of the passages on board for students to copy from their teacher resource pack. They write on notes and blackboard for students to copy, and that alone even takes away much from the instructional time. The amount of time the teacher will spend writing on board alone is taken away from the instructional time, and some of the students that may struggle to view from the board is also another challenge. So indeed, the challenge of inadequate or even outright lack of textbooks in our school is a challenge. Prior to the introduction of the new curriculum, we have about only 20% of students that are having the full complement of the 4 core textbooks. So the challenge has really been there, and then we have introduced a new curriculum, and now it has not been accompanied with any textbook as well. Not only the text, but its ancillaries like chart, posters, and then teachers' guide for them also to use, or workbook. These are all challenges affecting the implementation of the new curriculum.
Now, we know that since 2019, this has been a hurdle to be crossed from KG, kindergarten, all the way to primary 6. Per your research, what do you think are the immediate measures that ought to be put in place to remedy the situation? Because it's been a problem for certain specific reasons. What is Africa Education Watch looking forward to within the next few months?
Well, March 2022, as I said, has been given by the Ministry of Education. We know processes for procurement and distribution has advanced. We don't know what is still delaying the distribution, because we know the process has far advanced. It is our expectation that before school will resume for the next academic term, second term, the textbooks would have been ready. But going forward into the future, our expectation would be that as the Ministry of Education itself has indicated in the Education Sector Medium-Term Development Plan, that by 2021, they would have developed and implement a textbook policy that will address some of these challenges. believe that that would have given an effect. The medium-term plan expired in 2021. They are developing the next one. It's our expectation that the next one would have given birth to this policy so that we address some of the challenges that we see in the procurement of textbook and the lack of it thereof. Since it's an issue of financial inadequacy, we believe that there are some measures that government can take to reduce costs when it comes to the procurement and the distribution along the value chain. And also, strongly, personally, I believe that we are able to rationalize the curriculum. The number of subjects that are being taught in the school could have been reduced further. I believe could have been reduced. Some of them could have been rationalized or infused. That would have reduced a cost in print if the subjects are lesser, which would also reduce costs involved, and therefore would have been seen continuous supply of school. Mind you, the lifespan of some of the books by GSE's own policies were 2 to 5 years. So by 2 to 5 years, they have to replace some of the textbooks. So even if they brought the textbook now, they have to look at its replacement even in 2 to 5 years along the line. So they need these policies to see how best they can address it. Not only that it's available today, we also need to look into the future.
Divine, thank you for joining us. Divine Per is a research fellow with Africa Education Watch, joining us on that discussion. Now, in our next story, we celebrate the Eid today, but before that, Ramadan. And from sunrise to sunset, able-bodied Muslims were encouraged to abstain from eating and drinking as much as a sip of water throughout the month of Ramadan. For new Muslims, also known as revert Muslims, Ramadan is much more than just a physical challenge as they struggle to go through this daunting task. Now, imagine embarking on this religious obligation for the first time as an adult. In the following report, as Muslims end the month-long religious activity, my colleague Anas Abid interacted with some new Muslim converts in the Techiman municipality on their first fast experience and came through with this report.
Ramadan is the time where many Muslims around the world take a moment to recognize and strengthen positive habits. The 30 days dawn to dusk abstinence of food and water is also accompanied by various acts of community and charity. For those who are newly reverted into Islam, Ramadan can be really difficult for them depending on where they find themselves, the family they come from, or the jobs they do. Fofie Nuhu, a son of a former Roman catechist, is fasting for the first time this year.
Yeah, my name, actually they were calling me Noah, but now I'm Nuhu. Yeah, and I started Islam last year. By this is the first time I start fasting. Yeah.
He shares his first fasting experience with me.
You wake up around 4 o'clock, midnight, let's assume, or early dawn, and you just drink, and that's all, unless 6 o'clock. And water too is life, so it won't be easy for you.
For Nuhu, his greatest difficulty has to do with thirst, feeling a need to drink water and not necessarily hunger.
Even this work that I'm doing, you know that it's like we use a lot of water, and now you are not drinking, you are not eating, you are not doing anything, so it's very difficult. Like I feel difficult in terms of tastiness. It's not in terms of hunger, but it's tasty. And anything that I was seeing, isn't like anything like water. I just wanted to, actually the time to go fast so that I'll go and drink that kind of, yeah, that's how I was feeling.
Ada Yuri, now known as Nasiru, has been a Muslim for only 4 months. I've been into it for only 4 months. I admire how Muslims act and behave, and that is why I converted into Islam. Just like Fofie Nuhu, Nasiru's first fasting experience was a difficult one characterized with thirst for water.
First day,
I only suffered from thirst the first day because it is my first time. I did not eat, not drink, but I suffered a lot. With both Nuhu and Nasiru working in a hostile smoky environment, their quest for water is quite understandable for first-timers. And like many others who are fasting for the first time, The two shares with me how they sometimes glance at the clock hoping to hear the call to break the fast.
Even macho men, those who are actually fat and tall here, they are asking about time. How is your time, Charlie? The time is not going, crowd. Oh, well, actually, I think you get that experience. That's how it was. But in terms of let me go and eat, let me go and drink, no. I know what I'm doing the fast for.
And they say about 5 they quantity.
From 5 p.m. I usually check my time, and around this time I don't pay attention to the time because it is too early. Away from the two, I visited the Techiman Central Market where I met another revert by name Abdurazak, formerly known as Kelvin. Unlike Nuhu and Nasiru, Razak's first fasting experience was pretty easy because naturally he's able to withstand hunger.
I
reverted into Islam on a Friday. That was when Ramadan started. I started the next day and continued till the end, and many were even surprised at how I did that. However, Kelvin was nearly tempted to break his fast one of the days out of thirst, but he was able to overcome that call. I nearly broke my fast the first time due to thirst. At the point, I contemplated whether to hide and drink water, but I stopped because at the end, I'll be the very person to be affected. Even though observing one's first Ramadan as a revert can be a little exciting and special, it may also be a little intimidating, and like these people have been engaging, several other reverts out there feel it is an opportunity to connect their hearts and soul with the Almighty Allah. Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
Or staying on the Ramadan, the Islamic holy fasting month is traditionally a busy period for tailors as people buy new clothes to mark the Eid al-Fitr festival that ends the Ramadan. With everyone wanting to stand out and look good on the day of the Eid, most tailors fail to meet the expectations of their clients due to the pressures they find themselves under. As Muslims prepare to mark this important festival, my colleague Anas Sabit has been engaging some fashion designers on what they go through within the final few days of Ramadan and came across with this report.
Each year, fashion designers across various Muslim communities go through busy periods at the later part of Ramadan, all in their quest to satisfy their clients ahead of the Eid festivities. Out of curiosity, I decided to engage some tailors to have their take on measures they put in place to ensure that they are able to satisfy their clients on time. Ramatu Audu is the CEO of Ramo Clothing here in Asebi.
Before Ramadan, when I see that Ramadan is closer with the ready-made stuff, all the shops are in pressure. We normally sew different type of designs, bringing out new designs in order to be able to work during Ramadan period. Most of the time during Ramadan period, people will also be bringing their own stuff. I'll be able to get the chance to do it for them because I've already sewn some of the stuff which I can sew, so I can deal with them.
Rama says to stay away from disappointing her clients and receiving insults at the end, she makes sure that she do not accept more than she can handle within this period.
I don't normally take what is beyond my capabilities because I don't want any insult. And so far so good, I have never collect someone's thing during Ramadan period and not finish it. I finish everybody's things because I don't want any insults.
Here at the NKK Fashion Center in Techiman House Line, I met Salume Kankan, who has been into this profession for over 15 years. Though Mekankan admits that some tailors disappoint clients, he attributes the blames to clients who usually submit their materials late in the month. He says the situation has always been same. Clients do not submit their materials at the start of Ramadan. We wait till the end and start piling pressure on us. Our regular customers do delay in bringing their staff, and after we are already out of time, they bring them, and you cannot reject it either because of our relationship with them. So in short, this is why we are always under pressure. Those who see Swal's clients complain of disappointments. Some tailors are also disappointed by clients who fail to pick up their items after forcing them to overstay to work on them. There are others who, after all the pressure, would still not come for their clothes. As we speak, we have several of these items here, even though we are done sewing them. Some have been here for more than 2 years. Yet, we are always at fault in such situations. Yakubu Fuseni, on the other hand, appeals to clients to be patient with fashion designers within this period as they overstay at night just to fulfill their promises.
Later on, 1 week and less than that, you know.
Those who submit their items very late, some less than a week to the Eid, are the reasons why we have always been in this situation. And after every effort to get it done, will by all means disappoint a few, and that is why we are pleading with the customers to bear with us because we do not do this intentionally. Chief Executive Officer of Ramo Clothing, Ramatu Audu, however, appealed to colleague fashion designers to fear Allah and stay away from disappointing clients, all in the name of making money.
They should fear Allah. Don't take someone, because you take someone's thing and say the person, you give it to the person before Ramadan ends, and you are not be able to meet the time. What have you done? You've lured the person, which is no good in Islam. If you can't do it, don't do it.
Well, these and many other reasons are why some tailors go about disappointing their clients during Eid festivities. Anas Sabit, JoyNews, Tichima.
You're still live on JoyNews Desk. We take a break now for business, and when we return, we'll bring you some more stories.
Before we do business, let's move to the Independence Square where Dr. Baumia is addressing his fellow Muslims.
Kwa Akufo-Addo, who is out of the country on an important national assignment and would have been here otherwise, but he is here with us in spirit. The past 1 month has been a fulfilling period of sacrifice and devotion, and if we have witnessed the end of it, and we have gathered here and in other places across the country, it is by the sheer grace of Allah, for which we have to be gracious. Fellow Muslims, many of our loved ones fasted with us last year and were with us during the celebration of Eid together. But today, a number of them are no more with us, following their departure to the hereafter. On this occasion, I also want to extend our heartfelt condolences to Bishop Doug Hayward Mills, who tragically lost his son and whose his son's funeral is being performed today. On this blessed day of Eid, we remember all those who have passed away, and we pray to the Almighty Allah to continue to extend His infinite mercy on their soul and grant them Jannatul Firdaus. The celebration of the Eid is a significant moment for all Muslims as it brings the Ummah out together in our numbers, regardless of social status, to pray, rejoice, and glorify Allah. It is the reason we are all excited that the Eid prayers are being observed throughout the country without COVID-19 restrictions for the first time in 2 years. In the past 2 years, all of us as a people and as a nation had to adjust our normal way of life and embrace new restrictions imposed by the government as we battle together to overcome the devastating effects of COVID-19, which was sweeping through the nations and causing devastating havoc. As part of the 2-year restrictions, Hajj was cancelled. We observed Ramadan indoors, and we even had to perform Eid prayers virtually with smaller groups. The usual fanfare was missing as we collectively obeyed the restrictions. Today, inshallah, we are out in our numbers without the country observing Eid, throughout the country observing Eid without nose masks, and our Christian brothers also converge at full capacity for services without nose masks. Other aspects of social and economic life in the country, including our land borders, which had been closed for 2 years, are back to normal. My brothers and sisters, this exciting development is another special grace from Allah, which we have to be very thankful for as a nation. When COVID-19 hit us, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo committed the nation into the hands of God by asking for special prayers from our faith-based leaders as the government took a series of decisive steps to manage the pandemic and save lives of citizens. Today, by the grace of Allah, Ghana's COVID-19 situation is remarkably one of the lowest in the world, and our entire management of the pandemic has been globally acclaimed as one of the best. The effects of the pandemic, which ravaged global economies, did not spare us. Businesses suffered, private jobs were lost, government lost huge revenues, and also spent massively to ameliorate the plight of Ghanaians. In effect, the pandemic severely drew the economy back from the massive progress the government had achieved between 2017 and 2019. This setback, without doubt, made life more difficult for citizens and government, as prices of goods soared across the world due to the abnormal increase of the cost of international freight. As if that was not enough, another setback in the form of the sudden global effects of the Russia-Ukraine war hit us at the beginning of this year, when our economy showed signs of bouncing back from the shackles of COVID-19. In spite of the unexpected destructive global factors which have severely hit our economy in the past 2 years, our government has not reneged on its development commitments to the people of Ghana in the area of education, healthcare, and infrastructure development, amongst others. In education, we have continuously strengthened our flagship education policy, the free senior high school, and we have not reneged on other pro-poor interventions we introduced, such as feeding our children at a basic level and also paying for their BEC and WACC examination fees. We have introduced free TVET also to enhance technical education. In health, government continues to show strong commitment towards the National Health Insurance Scheme, and we have recruited thousands of health workers since the pandemic, contrary to the disturbing situation in the past, where health workers were left for almost 3 years without being employed. Again, in health, our hospitals for all districts, also known as Agenda 111 initiative, is also ongoing. In the youth development and employment, the government has ensured that no public sector job was lost or salary cuts implemented during the COVID-19 pandemic, unlike many other countries where public sector workers were laid off or their salaries reduced. Also, we have invested massively in entrepreneurial development and support to the youth in a bid to help create sustainable opportunities for our teeming youth. In the area of infrastructure projects we are continuing to commission these projects regularly as and when they are completed. As an example, the recent commissioning of the Tamale interchange, which is the first ever interchange in the northern Ghana, along with the construction of several other interchanges, is ongoing. Road construction works, including highways, inner city roads, feeder roads, are also visibly going on across the country. We have also kept our commitment towards the inclusive development of Zongo communities through the Zongo Development Fund. In the areas of infrastructure support, such as access roads, bridges, schools, healthcare facilities, drainage, water systems, astroturfs, educational scholarships, as well as entrepreneurial training and support. Recently, the Zongo Development Fund has completed about 200 projects and commissioned many of them, and many others will soon be commissioned. Inshallah, the construction of the model senior high schools will start this year. Generally, ladies and gentlemen, we have showed that we understand and feel the plight of Ghanaians, and we have not turned our back to the people in the midst of crisis. We showed it during the banking crisis by paying almost 20
of Ghanaians. We showed it during the COVID-19 crisis with the provision of free water and free electricity and business support interventions to households, businesses, traders, and entrepreneurs. As the government continues to demonstrate strong commitments the supporting interventions and initiatives of our faith-based organizations. I have been impressed by how both and Christian groups, especially at a time when government is under so much pressure. Notably, the churches and the Ahmadiyya mission have long been known to have played leading roles in education and the provision of quality health care. In recent times, the Tijaniya movement and also the Ghana Muslim Mission have also built a large number of schools in their educational drive. A few months ago, I commissioned the ultra-modern Islamic Nursing Training College here in Accra, which has been funded by the Al-Sunnah Group. There has also been a remarkable shift to production and other interventions by excuse me, by our faith-based groups to help create sustainable jobs and also to help the poor. Just last week, I cut the saw for over 800 acres of a rubber plantation in Asin by the Anglican Diocese of Accra. Before that, the Pentecost Church had initiated a 10-acre irrigation farm project. And in 2020, the Presbyterian Church of Ghana endorsed government's agricultural flagship program, the Planting for Food and Jobs. These are all positive steps which must be encouraged, as they will create opportunities for the youth. While the various Muslim groups are showing great initiatives in education and healthcare training, I want to urge them to consider venturing into other areas such as agriculture and small-scale production to start with, to support the youth. Our faith-based groups have demonstrated over the years that with unity of purpose, they can contribute significantly towards sustainable development of our country. Already, Ghana is globally acclaimed as a very peaceful country, and we have attained enviable positions on the Global Peace Index as the most peaceful country in West Africa and the second most peaceful country in Africa. It is because of the tolerance, cooperation, and mutual respect between Muslims and Christians across the country. Elsewhere, faith-based groups are at each other's throats and are destructive elements to the peace of their communities. Here in Ghana, we are blessed with tolerant and progressive religious leadership and groups which are contributing meaningfully to the national development. Let us continue to strengthen our ties regardless of our different religious identities, so that we can continue to positively influence our communities and the nation. My brothers and sisters, as we converge at various Eid grounds and reunite with our families and friends and loved ones, let us savor the moment, but in moderation, especially on our various streets. Beyond the Eid, let us uphold the great Islamic values of selflessness, generosity, compassion we show towards humanity during the month of Ramadan. Let us continue to be each other's keeper, love one another, and be tolerant of each other regardless of religious and political affiliation. May the Almighty Allah accept our sacrifice and supplications, and may He bless our dear nation Ghana. Barka da musalla jama'a, Allah ya maimaita mana, Allah ya kai mu sabon sakara. Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
And that was Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia addressing Muslims at the Independence Square. Now let's do business, because African pharmaceutical firms have been urged to push governments of their respective countries that are yet to endorse the African Continental Free Trade Agreement to do so. A Deputy Trade and Industry Minister, Michael Otrebefi, believes AFTA is a blessing to Africa, and therefore member countries must take advantage of that to trade and grow their economies. He spoke to Joy Business at the West Africa Pharmaceutical Healthcare Expo in Accra.
The West Africa Pharma Healthcare Expo brought together several pharmaceutical companies across the country. A Deputy Trade and Industry Minister, Michael Ochibefi, urged Ghanaian investors to collaborate with their foreign counterparts, particularly India's, in the pharmaceutical manufacturing space to grow their business.
It's a real opportunity for Ghanaians in the business to have partnership, to do business together. And this will also enhance their business and expand their business so that they'll be able to even get to other territories, not only in Ghana, but other West African countries. And so, for me, they cannot get it wrong. They have to take advantage of this. And I was also talking about the African Continental Free Trade Area. The African Continental Free Trade Area, I believe, has come as a blessing to Africa. And so Africans must do well to protect it and make sure that it works. It works for all of us. And that is why I was admonishing them, those in the pharmaceutical manufacturing business, to push their countries, their leaders, those who have not ratified the agreement, to ratify, so that we will all collaborate and work together. To do business across Africa, duty-free, quota-free.
Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Sechum Akwabua, urged its members to take full advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and expand rapidly.
Bear in mind that the AFCA has two sides of the coin. One side is the fact that you can have opportunities in other people's markets, so you can export to those markets, which is an opportunity for you. But the other side is that others are also going to penetrate and enter your market and compete very strongly with you. So it means that whether you like it or not, you are part of it. If you will not even export in your own market, they're going to compete very strongly with you because they are importing the goods into your market duty-free, quota-free. So for us, our advice we always give to our members is that be ready for it. Whether you are exporting or local, be ready for it. If it's local, be aware that the competition from Africa is going to be going to be keener. And therefore, the way to really prepare yourself to take the opportunity is that you need to have very good governance systems, upscale your investments, identify the right products, produce to the standards that can be that is good or can be met at everywhere in the world.
The 3-day program had several conferences. One of the conferences was on the theme Healthcare Industry in Africa and Access to Finance.
Unilever Ghana has launched a new variant of Close-Up toothpaste named Close-Up Complete Fresh Protection. The product, according to manufacturers, offers 5 unique benefits to the consumer, which includes deep cleaning, fresh breath, cavity protection, strong teeth, and protection from germs. Speaking at the launch, Oral Care Category Manager Joel Boateng disclosed that the product was developed according to increasing demands of consumers for toothpaste with herbal content.
Over the years, consumers have gradually shifted from purchasing fluoride toothpaste to those that contain herbs or charcoal. It is for this reason Unilever Ghana made a new addition to the family of Close-Up variants, Close-Up Complete Fresh Protection. Here's Oral Care Category Manager for Unilever Ghana, Joel Boateng.
It's our newest baby as far as our oral range is concerned, and it is an innovation based on consumer insight, listening to our cherished consumers based on trends, and realizing that the passion and love for herbal or natural ingredients is growing. And so we've come with this innovation, which is offering 5 benefits. The 5 benefits of this launch is primarily a toothpaste that offers us deep cleaning, fresh breath, cavity protection, fights germs, and above all, is able to make our teeth stronger.
This new toothpaste is a fluoride gel made with an active herbal ingredient known as eucalyptus mint, which prevents cavities and freshens breath. Mr. Boateng believes this new variant will not outshine the other Close-Up products, but says his outfit will continue to invest in ensuring that Close-Up Complete Fresh Protection is accepted by Ghanaians.
Purchasing other types of Close-Up that we have on the market is in itself not bad. So we would advocate all Ghanaians to continuously patronize our ranges. How do we intend to penetrate the Ghanaian market? We've done it with our cherished stakeholders, which is our traders, influencers, the media, as we are doing today. And so those are the leverage we will still adopt. And we will be in all convenience shops. Every shop nearby, please, when you walk there, you would find this new innovation. It would also be in modern trade, which is normally known in our local languages like the ShopRite, the Games, the Malcolm, and the large or small supermarket. So what we are saying is that at any touch point that you would want to buy this product, it will be accessible for you. We are running a lot of promotional schemes where you would get it for about 70% of it. Its ongoing price is 8 cedis 50 pesos.
Consumers were entreated to sample the new product and also look out for the new variant in supermarkets and nearby shops.
That's all for business. We have more business stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business.
Well, this has been Joy News Desk, and this is where we leave off. But stay with us at noon. We'll bring you our next major bulletin. My name is Benjamin Akakwo. Log on to myjoyonline.com for more stories. And some of the stories making the headlines there. Most Ghanaians feel they have been hoodwinked. That's according to former President John Dramani Mahama, who was speaking at yesterday's event. Do have a good morning.